In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the dispenser of grace. Say, He is the one God, God, the eternal, the uncaused cause of all being. He begets not, and neither is He begotten, and there is nothing that could be compared with Him.
Read in the name of thy sustainer, who has created man out of a germ cell. Read, for thy sustainer is the most bountiful one, who has taught man the use of the pen, taught man what he did not know. Allah is He save whom there is no deity, the one who knows all that is beyond the reach of a created being's perception, as well as all that can be witnessed by a creature's senses or mind. He, the most gracious, the dispenser of grace. Allah is He save whom there is no deity, the sovereign supreme, the holy, the one with whom all salvation rests, the giver of faith, the one who determines what is true and false, the Almighty, the one who subdues wrong and restores right, the one to whom all greatness belongs. Utterly remote is Allah in His limitless glory from anything to which men may ascribe a share in His divinity. He is Allah, the Creator, the Maker who shapes all forms and appearances. His alone are the attributes of perfection. All that is in the heavens and on earth extols His limitless glory, for He alone is almighty, truly wise.
In the name of Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful. By the heavens and the knocker. How will you comprehend what the knocker is? It is a piercing star. By the heavens and the knocker. How will you comprehend what the knocker is? It is a piercing star.
The word tariq stems from the root taraka, meaning knocking, striking. In many translations of the Qur'an, this word was taken for a name and left untranslated. But if the word is translated as to pulsate, the basic meaning of the word, cosmic physicists would witness an interesting connection. Little green men of the universe. In 1967, Jocelyn Bell accidentally stumbled on a regular and steadfast radio signal. The object she detected was emitting regular pulses. These pulses were reminiscent of heartbeats. At the time, such a pulsating object was not known to exist in space. At first, it was concluded that these signals might well have been propagated by intelligent beings, inhabitants of other planets. Invitation cards were printed, the media were notified, and a seminar was arranged. LGM, Little Green Men, signified that intelligent creatures had been detected and were contacted by radio signals.
Not long after, the source of the signals in question was discovered. It was a spinning neutron star, an object whose velocity was incommensurably great, a pulsar. Bell's discovery failed to establish contact with the inhabitants of space, but she had found pulsars. The words pulsar and pulsating seem to accord with the word tariq of the Qur'an, which means knocker. Can you comprehend what a pulsar is? In the second verse of the surah, the knocker, we read, "How will you comprehend what the knocker is?" A spoonful of matter taken from a pulsar would weigh 1 billion tons. Were we to depose a small particle of it on Earth, the particle would pierce it and end up in its center. Just think of it, a spoonful of any matter on Earth hardly weighing more than a few grams. This shows how difficult it is to conceive of a pulsar. A pulsar is produced by the compression of stars a couple of times bigger than the Sun. If we were to compress the Earth the same way, we would end up with a sphere with a diameter of several meters. The diameter of a pulsar can be about 15 to 20 kilometers. It takes the Earth 24 hours to rotate around its own axis, whereas the pulsar rotates around its own axis many times per second. All these things show how difficult it is to comprehend this striking, pulsating star. Let's see if you can work a miracle. Some have tried to identify the star mentioned in the verse and claimed it to be a certain celestial body like Saturn or Venus. Mustafa Mlivo, who claims these assumptions are not correct and that Tariq is none other than a pulsar, says the following. Characteristics of the celestial object mentioned in 86, 1 through 3 are 1. It pulsates, knocks. 2. It is a star. 3. It penetrates, pierces, drills. None of the solar system planets meets all those criteria because none of them produces pulsations that give the impression of knocking, beating. None of them is a star. They are cold celestial bodies. None of them produces such intensive radiation. As one can see, the Qur'an had already mentioned a star that was to be discovered. This star was indeed discovered, but in the year 1970. Since the concept of a pulsating star could not be imagined at that time, it was rendered in translation as it stood. That is, Tariq, the meaning of it being explained in footnotes, dictionaries, and interpretations. The Quran, whose every sentence, every word is based on the finest of meanings, wherein lie hidden realms still to be discovered. The more we study the Quran, the more we are enlightened, the more we learn.
The reference to pulsars in the Noble Qur'an 1400 years ago is yet another of the countless proofs that the Qur'an is the word of Allah.
In the name of Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful. So I swear by the place where the stars fall, and that is indeed a mighty oath, if you but knew.
Black holes, mighty oath.
So I swear by the place where the stars fall, and that is indeed a mighty oath, if you but knew.
The expression place where fall, Malki, also mentioned in the surah, the cave, verse 53, means the place where the sinners fall, that is hell. The root of this word is waka, and it means the action of falling, a happening, and an incidence. Stars perpetuate their existence with hydrogen bombs exploding in them. During these explosions, a portion of matter is transferred into energy, emitting heat of immeasurably high temperature. Conversion of 1 gram of matter into energy may be obtained by burning 2 million kilograms of coal. For instance, in our Sun, which is but a star of medium size, 4 billion kilograms of matter are converted into energy every second. A star uses but a small portion of its matter as fuel, and when this fuel is exhausted, it dies off. The lifetime that God designed for the living had also been apportioned for the stars. As new stars are born somewhere in the universe, the old ones bid farewell. Falling of stars and mighty oath. The place where the stars fall is stressed by an oath coupled with the epithet mighty. We shall see incommensurately great mathematical figures in connection with the death of stars whose fuel is exhausted. The great numerical values in the universe come about at the death of stars to which reference is made with the following words in the Qur'an. And that is indeed a mighty oath, if you but knew. Everybody versed in physics knows that one of the most interesting phenomena in the universe is the black hole that comes about in the wake of the death of massive stars whose magnitudes are greater than 3 times the size of our Sun. These giant stars that contract possess a great gravitational force. This force is so immense that even light, with its velocity of approximately 300,000 kilometers per second, cannot escape it. These black holes also absorb even the light that passes by. Later on, a great many planets and stars are attracted by this gravitational force. Black holes also constitute the place where the stars fall. The existence of black holes is deduced from the fact that they attract as whirlpools the matter of other nearby stars, swallowing all the lights and stars around. The black holes formed by the collapse of stars by their gravitational force are in perfect confirmation with verses 75 and 76 of the surah, The Inevitable. At the time of the descent of the Qur'an, the end of a star by being transformed into a black hole was something unknown. A star turning into a black hole and the stages it goes through are very interesting phenomena. Some stars die following different processes. Some of them grow in size at first, as if inflated. Their temperature, around 15 million degrees, rises up to 100 million degrees. They are first transformed into red giants or supergiants. The area covered by a supergiant is so vast that it can easily contain more than 60 million suns. The immensity of these numerical values is reminiscent of the magnitudes indicated in the 76th verse of the surah. Some of the supernovas contract and turn into white dwarf stars whose mass equal the size of a human being but weigh billions of kilograms. Still greater stars become neutron stars or pulsars, stars supposed to form in the final stage of the stellar evolution. These consist of a super-dense mass, mainly of neutrons, having a strong attractive force. The matter in the neutron stars is extremely dense. Just to give you an idea, a teaspoonful of this matter would weigh 1 billion tons. While all these spectacular events are taking place, we on our planet continue to sleep, run, and talk quite unaware of them. So is our life, rendered possible by forces beyond our knowledge.
The reference to black holes in the Holy Qur'an 1400 years ago is one of the countless proofs that the Qur'an is the word of Almighty Allah.
That Satan said, I will mislead them, and I will create in them false desires. I will order them to slit the ears of cattle, and to deface the fair nature created by Allah. Whoever, forsaking Allah, takes shaitan for a friend, hath of a surety suffered a loss that is manifest.
The cloning, alteration of living beings, and the signs in the Qur'an. The words in this verse carry profound linguistic and semantic richness. Yubattikunna is derived from the Arabic root battaqa, which means to cut or to sever. In the verse, it implies a deliberate and purposeful act. Yughayyirunna comes from the Arabic verb ghayyara, meaning to alter, transform, or distort something from its original form. This expression points to a conscious act of changing the natural state of creation. The nun suffix at the end of both verbs in Arabic serves to emphasize certainty and intensity. It underlines that these actions are not casual or accidental, but intentional and decisive. This verse is often interpreted in connection with modern scientific developments, such as cloning and genetic manipulation, and is seen as a warning about human intervention in the divine order of creation. Yet, ultimate knowledge always belongs to Allah. As is widely known, Modern cloning studies frequently utilize cells extracted from the ear tissue of living beings. In scientific cloning techniques, a new organism is created using cells taken specifically from the ear. This verse in the Qur'an seems to offer a remarkable foresight into contemporary biotechnology and genetic engineering. Allah knows best. One of the first successful examples of cloning was Dolly the sheep. However, this milestone was accompanied by numerous failed attempts and raised serious ethical questions. Cloned animals have often exhibited organ deformities, abnormal development, and premature death, troubling outcomes that continue to concern the scientific community. The success rate of cloning experiments varies between 1 and 3%. Cloned organisms commonly suffer from immune deficiencies, rapid aging, and sudden death. Cellular aging begins with the shortening of structures called telomeres, and in clones, this process appears to be accelerated from birth. In cloning procedures, the genetic material of a living cell is used, but fertilization is carried out through artificial means. This disrupts the natural reproductive mechanism created by Allah and has led to unidentified illnesses, abnormal development issues, and early mortality. Cloning is not just a scientific breakthrough, but a profound responsibility. Scientists are still unable to fully grasp the implications these methods have on human health and the natural order. The consequences of interfering with the delicate balance of creation will echo not just in laboratories, but in the future of humanity itself. Remarkably, a verse revealed 1400 years ago in the Qur'an draws attention to these scientific discoveries today. In Surah An-Nisa, verse 119, it is stated that Satan will command humans to cut the ears of cattle and alter Allah's creation. Today, most cloning experiments indeed involve cells taken from the ears of animals. This parallel presents a striking spiritual and scientific sign. Allah knows best. Science is a powerful tool for uncovering the mysteries granted by the Creator. Yet, if not guided by wisdom and ethical values, it can lead humanity into unforeseen disasters. The verses revealed by our Lord 1400 years ago provide not only spiritual guidance, but also scientific foresight. In every discovery and invention, one can see the might of the Creator and be reminded of their responsibility. That the Qur'an foretells humans would attempt to copy and alter what Allah has created, and that this would lead to various consequences, is yet another among the countless signs that it is a divine book.
In the early 20th century, the prevalent view across the world was that the universe was infinite. According to this view, known as the static universe model, the universe had no end or beginning. This view dominated the scientific world for many years. This was the case until the evidence for a theory rocked this erroneous belief. The Big Bang Theory. The evidence proved that an explosion emanated from a single point some 15 billion years ago from nothingness. The entire universe, together with matter and time, came into existence as a result of a great explosion that occurred a long time ago. Many scientific findings today support the Big Bang Theory. It has now been proved that the universe had a beginning and was brought into being from nothing through a huge explosion. This fact, proved as the result of long research in the field of physics, was also declared 14 centuries ago in the noble Qur'An.
Creator of the heavens and the earth from nothingness, he has only to say when he wills a thing, be, and it is.
The Big Bang Theory, which the scientific world unanimously accepted in the 20th century, proves that the universe came into being with a giant explosion. One verse of the Qur'an that revealed this fact 1400 years ago reads, "Do not the unbelievers see that the heavens and the earth were sewn together, and then we unstitched them, and that we made from water every living thing? So will they not believe?" The word rakt, translated as sewn together, means mixed in each, blended in the Arabic vernacular. The phrase "we unstitched" is the verb fattaka, and in Arabic it implies the tearing apart of a structure of things that are sewn to one another. A very important scientific fact is being described here: the separation of the heavens and the earth. Intriguingly, at the first moments of the Big Bang, the entire matter of the universe collected at one single point. The heavens and earth, which were not created yet, were within this single point. Then, this point exploded violently, causing its matter to disunite. This is just as is described in the verse. People 14 centuries ago, of course, possessed no scientific knowledge or technology by which to know that the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, and everything they saw or that which was invisible in the skies had initially been united in a single point.
About 14 centuries ago, the Qur'an clearly proclaimed that the universe was, in its beginning, formed from a mass of gas. In Surah Fussilat, verse 11, while describing the creation of the universe, it is stated that the heavens, that is the cosmos, were in the state of smoke.
Moreover, he comprehended in his design the sky, and it had been as smoke. He said to it and to the earth, "Come ye together, willingly or unwillingly." They said, "We do come together in willing obedience."
The word rendered in English as smoke is, in the Qur'an's original Arabic, duhan. This term denotes a hot gaseous mass filled with suspended particles. At its origin, the universe was a vast mass of gas at an extremely high temperature, composed of hydrogen and helium. Scientists, however, discovered this reality only in recent times. As this searing gaseous mass cooled and condensed, the stars and the celestial bodies were brought forth. In the Qur'an, the word of Allah, the most fitting term, duhan, was chosen to depict the appearance of the universe at that stage. Scientific sources describe this process as follows. "300 million years after the Big Bang, stars and galaxies began to take shape. Gravity began to act on the irregularities within the density of the gaseous mass. As the universe expanded at an ever-accelerating pace, the clusters of gas grew increasingly dense. Within these clusters, stars were born, and groups of stars gave rise to the first galaxies. Around 5 billion years ago, our solar system came into existence. Our sun was formed within a cloud of gas, lying in one of the spiral arms of what we now call the Milky Way. The great cloud of gas and dust encircling this new star then gave birth to the planets, their moons, and the asteroids. This process continues even today. The birth of stars from gaseous clouds can still be observed by scientists in our age. The truth regarding the creation of the universe was unveiled by science only in the 20th century, but yet it had been declared in the Qur'an 14 centuries earlier. This stands as yet another among the countless proofs that the Qur'an is indeed the word of the Almighty.
Research carried out thanks to modern-day advanced technology, observation, and calculation have shed light on many secrets concerning the universe. One of these is the fact that it is constantly expanding. This idea of expansion was first raised in the early 20th century. The Russian physicist Alexander Friedmann and the Belgian cosmologist Georges Lemaitre theoretically calculated that the universe is in constant motion and that it is expanding. This notion was confirmed by the use of observational data in 1929. While observing the sky with a telescope, Edwin Hubble, the American astronomer, discovered a surprising fact. The stars and galaxies were constantly moving away from each other. This discovery is regarded as one of the greatest in the history of astronomy. A universe where everything constantly moves away from everything else implied a constantly expanding universe. Bodies in the universe were like points on the surface of a balloon being inflated. The more a balloon is inflated, the further away the points on its surface move from one another. Similarly, celestial bodies also move away from one another as the universe expands. There was no technology and no science of astronomy 14 centuries ago when the Qur'an was revealed. Nobody was then aware of this fact. Yet, it was clearly stated in Quranic verses that the universe was expanding. And it is we who have constructed the heavens with might, and verily it is we who are steadily expanding it. Particular emphasis is placed in the Qur'an on one element: iron. In Surat al-Hadid, meaning iron, we are informed, "And we also sent down iron, in which there lies great force, and which has many uses for mankind." The word anzalna, translated as "we sent down," and used for iron in the verse, could be thought of having a metaphorical meaning to explain that iron has been given to benefit people. But when we take into consideration the literal meaning of the word, we realize that this verse implies a very significant scientific miracle. This meaning is being physically sent down from the sky, as in the case of rain and sun rays. Modern astronomical findings have disclosed that the iron found in our planet has come from giant stars in outer space. Not only the iron on Earth, but also the iron in the entire solar system comes from outer space, since the temperature in the sun is inadequate for the formation of iron. Iron can only be produced in much larger stars than the sun, where the temperature reaches a few 100 million degrees. When the amount of iron exceeds a certain level in a star, the star can no longer accommodate it, and eventually explodes in what is called a nova, or a supernova. These explosions make it possible for iron to be given off into space. All the iron on Earth came from outer space as a result of this process. In other words, iron was sent down to Earth, just like we are told in the verse. It is clear that this information could not have been established in the 17th century, when the Qur'an was revealed. When the sperm of the male unites with the ovum of the female, the essence of the baby to be born is formed. This single cell is known as a zygote. It will instantly begin reproducing by dividing and eventually become a piece of flesh called an embryo. The embryo, however, does not spend its developmental period in a void. It clings to the uterus, similar to roots that are firmly fixed to the earth by its tendrils. Through this bond, it can obtain the substances essential to its development from the mother's body. Here, an important miracle of the Qur'an is revealed. While referring to the embryo developing in the mother's womb, God uses the word alaq. Recite, in the name of your Lord who created man from alaq. Recite, and your Lord is the most generous. The meaning of the word alaq in Arabic is a thing that clings to some place. Certainly the use of such a specific word for the embryo developing in the mother's womb proves once again that the Qur'an is the word of God, the Lord of all the worlds. Sperm undertake a journey into the mother's body until they reach the ovum. Only 1,000 out of 250 million sperm succeed in reaching the ovum. At the end of this 5-minute race, the ovum, half the size of a grain of salt, will let only one of the sperm in. However, this finding that was determined in our own day reveals something that was previously unknown. That is, the substance of man is not the whole semen, but only a small part of it. This is explained in the Qur'an as follows. Does man reckon he will be left uncontrolled without purpose? Was he not once a drop of ejected semen? As close inspection shows, we are informed in the Qur'an that man is made not from the entire semen, but only a small part of it. This is also what modern science says. He creates you stage by stage in your mother's wombs in threefold darkness. That is God, your Lord. Sovereignty is His. There is no deity but Him. So what has made you deviate? Modern biology has revealed that the embryological development of the baby takes place in the manner revealed in the verse. The expression, a threefold darkness, indicates 3 dark regions involved during the development of the embryo. These are the darkness of the abdomen, the darkness of the womb, and the darkness of the placenta. It is also pointed out in this verse that a human being is created in the mother's womb in 3 distinct stages. In basic human embryology, a fundamental reference text in embryology, this fact is stated as follows. The life in the uterus has 3 stages. Pre-embryonic, first 2.5 weeks, embryonic, until the end of the 8th week, and fetal, from the 8th week to labor. Information on the development in the mother's womb became available only after observations with modern devices. Yet, just like many other scientific facts, in a miraculous way, God draws our attention to these items of information in the verses of the Qur'an. The fact that such detailed and accurate information was given in the Qur'an at a time when people had scarce information on medical matters is clear evidence that it is the Word of God. What determines the gender of an unborn child? According to the Qur'an, the answer lies in its father. Masculinity or femininity is created out of a drop of semen which has been ejected. Gender is determined by the sperm cells from the male, and that the female has no role in this process. The verses that tell us this read, "He has created both sexes, male and female, from a drop of semen which has been ejected." Wasn't he a drop of ejaculated sperm, then an embryo which he created and shaped, making from it both sexes, male and female? The developing disciplines of genetics and molecular biology have scientifically validated the accuracy of this information given in the Qur'an. A baby's gender is determined by which chromosome, X or Y, from the male unites with the female's ovum. None of this was known until the discovery of genes in the 20th century. Indeed, in many cultures, it was believed that the female determined the gender of a baby. This is one reason why women were blamed when they gave birth to girls. 14 centuries before human genes were discovered, however, the Qur'an revealed information that denies this superstition and referred to the origin of gender lying not with women, but with the semen deriving from men. That is because the Qur'an is the Word of God. Another important item of information provided in the verses of the Qur'an is the developmental stages of a human being in the mother's womb. We then formed the drop in the embryo, and formed the embryo into a lump, and formed the lump into bones, and clothed the bones in flesh, and then brought him into being as another creature. Blessed be God, the best of creators. It is clearly stated in these verses that in the mother's womb the bones develop first, and then the muscles form which wrap around them. Until very recently, embryologists assumed that the bones and muscles in an embryo developed at the same time. Yet research conducted by virtue of new technological developments has yielded such accurate conclusions. These researched findings are just as it is described in the Qur'an. First, the cartilage tissues of the embryo ossifies. Then, muscular cells that are selected from amongst the tissue around the bones come together and wrap around the bones. This event is described in a scientific publication titled "Developing Human" in the following words. The shape of the skeleton determines the general appearance of the embryo in the bone stages during the 7th week. Muscles do not develop at the same time, but their development follows soon after. The muscles take their positions around the bones throughout the body, and therefore clothe the bones. Thus, the muscles take their well-known forms and structures. The stage of clothing with muscles occurs during the 8th week. In short, developmental stages of man, as described in the Qur'an, are in perfect harmony with the findings of modern embryology. Emeritus Professor Keith Moore of the Department of Anatomy and Cell Biology at the University of Toronto is one of the eminent embryologists in the world. He is one of those scholars who have identified this miracle in the Qur'an. Professor Moore examined the verses concerning human birth and announced his conclusions in these words. It has been a great pleasure for me to help clarify statements in the Qur'an about human development. It is clear to me that these statements must have come to Prophet Muhammad from God, or Allah, because most of this knowledge was not discovered until many centuries later. This proves to me that Prophet Muhammad must have been a messenger of God, or Allah. The development of a human being in its mother's womb is full of miracles. The fetus's ears begin to develop as early as the 22nd day of pregnancy and become fully functional in the 4th month. After that, the fetus can hear sounds in the mother's womb. For that reason, the sense of hearing forms before the other vital functions for a newborn baby. The order set out in the Qur'an is striking from that point of view. It is He who has created hearing, sight, and minds for you. What little thanks you show. God brought you out of your mother's wombs, knowing nothing at all, and gave you hearing, sight, and minds, so that perhaps you would show thanks. Close examination shows that the senses God refers to in the Qur'an are always mentioned in a particular order. Hearing, sight, and understanding. That is exactly the same order in which a baby's senses develop. In short, one of the discoveries of modern science, the order of development of human organs, is clearly stated in the Qur'an. There are more than 100 billion galaxies in the visible universe, and each small galaxy contains approximately 1 billion stars. Furthermore, each big galaxy contains more than 1 trillion. Many of these stars have planets, and many of these planets have satellites. All these celestial bodies follow the most finely calculated paths and orbits for millions of years. Stars, planets, and satellites all rotate around their own axes, and also rotate together with the system of which they are a part. The universe functions within an order, just like the wheels in a factory. The movement of celestial bodies in their orbits is based upon extreme fine-tuning. Even the slightest deviation from their paths could have drastic consequences that might spell the end of the entire system. For example, the consequences of the Earth's deviating from its course by a mere 3 millimeters have been described in one source as follows. While rotating around the Sun, the Earth follows such an orbit that every 18 miles it only deviates 2.8 millimeters from a direct course. The orbit followed by the Earth never changes, because even a deviation of 3 millimeters would cause catastrophic disasters. If the deviation were 2.5 millimeters instead of 2.8 millimeters, then the orbit would be very large, and all of us would freeze. If the deviation were 3.1 millimeters, we would be scorched to death. These facts were only discovered through astronomical research in the 20th century. Yet it was revealed 14 centuries ago in the Qur'an that heavenly bodies revolve in very finely tuned orbits. I swear by heaven with its oscillating orbits. In another verse we are told that it is He who created night and day, and the sun and moon, each one swimming in a sphere. According to astronomers' calculations, the sun moves along a path known as the solar apex in the path of a star Vega. This is just as revealed in the Qur'an. And the sun runs to its resting place. At the time of the revelation of the Qur'an, mankind definitely did not possess telescopes with which to gaze on outer space, millions of kilometers away, observation technology, or the modern sciences of physics and astronomy. Therefore, it was impossible at that time to scientifically determine that space was equipped with oscillating orbits. However, this fact is clearly stated in the Qur'an, which was sent down at that time, because the Qur'an is the Word of God. The human body. A flawless structure with many fine details that still have yet to be discovered. Scientists engaged in research using today's advanced technology obtained astonishing results concerning the human body. One of these dealt with the tissues in the body. Living tissues contain 26 different elements. 6 of these are the most common: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. These basic elements represent 95% of all tissues. This, in turn, represents important scientific evidence of the information revealed in the Qur'an, the creation of man out of clay. The building blocks that constitute almost all the human body are present in the soil, either in free or compound forms. The first human being was created by God, who shaped clay into human form and breathed the soul into it. This miraculous event is described in the Qur'an. Your Lord said to the angels, I am going to create a human being out of clay. When I have formed him and breathed my spirit into him, fall down in prostration to him. In another verse, God tells us that we created man from an extract of clay. The Arabic word sulala, translated as extract in the verse, means representative example or essence. The information revealed in the Qur'an 1400 years ago confirms what modern science tells us. The fact that the same elements are employed in human creation as those found in the soil. Today, the relativity of time is a proven scientific fact. This was revealed by Einstein's theory of relativity during the early part of the 20th century. Until then, it was not known that time was relative, nor that it could change according to the circumstances. Yet the renowned scientist Albert Einstein proved this fact by showing that time is dependent on mass and velocity. However, the Qur'an, revealed some 1300 years before Einstein, had already included information about time as being relative. A day with your Lord is equivalent to 1,000 years in the way you count. He directs the whole affair from heaven to earth. Then it will again ascend to him on a day whose length is 1,000 years by the way you measure. In the honeybee colonies, where each of the many bees is assigned a specific task, the only exception is the male honeybee. The males do not contribute to the cleaning of the hive, to gathering food, or to making of the honeycomb and honey. The only function of the male bees in the hive is to inseminate the queen bee. The males possess almost none of the features possessed by the other bees. The worker bees carry the entire load of the colony. They have several duties: cleaning the hive, maintaining the larvae and the young, feeding the other bees, gathering supplies like nectar, pollen, water, and resin, and storing these in the hive. Although they are females like the queen, their ovaries have not developed. This renders them sterile. The features of these creatures are described in the Qur'an in Surat An-Nahl, which means the honeybee. Your Lord revealed to the bees, build dwellings in the mountains and the trees, and also in the structures which men erect. Then eat from every kind of fruit, and travel the paths of your Lord, which have been made easy for you to follow. From inside them comes a drink of varied colors containing healing for humanity. There is certainly a sign in that for people who reflect. This verse contains an important secret that can only be understood by means of Arabic grammar. In Arabic, there are two different usages of verbs. By means of the usage, it is possible to determine whether the subject is a female or a male. As a matter of fact, the verbs used for the honeybee in the verses are used in the format of the verb for females. Through this, it is indicated that the honeybees that work in the making of honey are females. It must not be forgotten that gender in insects was only understood through modern biological observations. The fact that the worker bees are all female was only established in our day. Yet God shows another miracle of the Qur'an by drawing our attention to this fact in verses. has created the heavens and the earth for truth. He wraps the night up in the day, and wraps the day up in the night. The Arabic word that is translated as to wrap in this verse is yukawir. In English, it translates as to make one thing lap over another, folded up as a garment that is laid away. The information given in the verse about the day and the night wrapping each other up includes accurate information about the shape of the world. This can be true only if the earth is round. However, it was then thought that the world was a flat plane. Nobody knew that the earth was round. The revelation in the Qur'an at that time that the earth was round is one of the countless proofs that our holy book is the Word of God. Let us now consider all those human beings who have ever lived and who are living today. Every person has his or her own set of fingerprints. Even identical twins having the very same DNA sequence have different fingerprints. That is because there is a special formation in the fingerprints. Fingerprints attain their final shape before birth and remain the same for a lifetime unless a permanent scar appears. That is why fingerprints are accepted as a very important proof of identity, exclusive to their owner. Scientists discovered this important feature only in the later 19th century. However, in the Qur'an, God points to the fingertips, which did not attract anyone's attention at that time, and calls our attention to their importance. Does man imagine we will not reassemble his bones? Yes, we are able to put together in perfect order the very tips of his fingers.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the dispenser of grace.
Allah is He save whom there is no deity, the ever-living, the self-subsistent fount of all being. Neither slumber overtakes Him nor sleep. His is all that is in the heavens and all that is on earth. Who is there that could intercede with Him unless it be by His leave? He knows all that lies open before men and all that is hidden from them, whereas they cannot attain to aught of His knowledge, save that which He wills them to attain. His eternal power overspreads the heavens and the earth, and their upholding wearies Him not, and He alone is truly exalted, tremendous.
Say, He is the one God, God the eternal, the uncaused cause of all being. He begets not, and neither is He begotten, and there is nothing that could be compared with Him.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the dispenser of grace. All praise is due to Allah alone. the sustainer of all the worlds, the most gracious, the dispenser of grace, Lord of the day of judgment. Thee alone do we worship, and unto Thee alone do we turn for aid. Guide us the straight way, the way of those upon whom Thou hast bestowed Thy blessings, not of those who have been condemned by Thee, nor of those who go astray.